For what I do, I preserve memories for people. When I started shooting, I only was shooting what I knew. Lowriders, the hood, my friends. I took pictures and people never saw them. The guys were like, hey, homie, let me see the pictures from the tour. And I was like, nah, I didn't even get that shit developed yet. You know, like, why not? And I was like, I'm busy, you know, I got shit to do. This right here is my negatives in my whole life. Somewhere in here, there is Cypress Hill. I've known the group since day one. I met them on the block in 1989. I knew Muggs before from the clubs. I mean, I was taking photos and filming as much as I could.
Coming at the slums, that's the hot bombs. I'm pulling my gat out on all you bums. I bring it on when you wanna come fight this outlaw, kicking like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Muggs, Be Real, and Send It were everything that hip-hop needed to be.
There's no other Cypress Hill. They're literally one of one.
Especially from LA, there was nothing like that.
What up, B-Man? All right. Send Dog!
That marriage between Be Real and Send Dog's voice is just amazing.
They sound like the crazy Mexicans that were on Angel Dust, but it's dope.
We ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that.
The music, the cultural pedigree, everything about them was just so perfect.
That's not even mentioning that they were the first ones that were literally crusading about the legalization of marijuana at a time when it seemed like they were just a bunch of stoners bugging.
Do you wanna get high? I want to get high.
Be Real was the first one ever to light a joint up on stage that I seen.
The resiliency that Cypress has, Be Real as a vocalist, Send Dog as a vocalist, they can seem to get stronger, like super cyborgs of weed.
Thanks to Dr. Green Thumb.
Every nigga out there wanna be down with the crew. Some ain't got enough heart. Let me ask you this.
No, they're a phenomenon, to be honest. Not the music only, it's the artistry, the album covers, the imagery they use.
It's crazy that they're the biggest selling Latin hip-hop group of all time.
They were really ahead of their time in ways that people need to think about, and they were just being themselves.
You had a camera with you literally 24/7.
Nobody had a photographer, videographer, social media person. There wasn't even none of that shit back then. I became that guy. I was taking photos and video of them every day. Imagine if I didn't keep all this, I'd be fucked.
The one on the flamboyant temper, just toss that ham in the frying pan like spam. Get done when I come and slam. Damn, I feel like the son of Sam. Don't make me wreck shit. Hectic, text with the chain, got me going like General Electric. And the lights are blinking. I'm thinking it's all over when I go out drinking. Oh, making my mind slow. That's why I don't fuck with the big 4-0, bro. I
These are some of the early photos I took of the band. I never thought we'd be making history. And to think it all started in LA. That's what's crazy to me.
We came up with the name Cypress Hill because of our love and our affection for that block that we grew up on. We were street kids, but we always had this thing where we wanted to take our block, Cypress Avenue, we wanted to take it worldwide. Well, right now, we're on 8672 Cypress Avenue in Southgate, Cali. And this is where it all started at. My mom put that fucking palm tree in, and when we moved out of here, it was like this tall. Yeah. And then they became some, I guess you can't cut trees down in this fucking city. And the fucking thing, look how big it is, dude. My family comes from a place called Pinar del Rio, Cuba, for those that you don't understand me. And my dad had done, you know, time in the joint there and penitentiary for, you know, pro-human beliefs. He didn't want that life for his kids, so he moved us out here to California. When we first moved in, it was very like, you know, everybody to themselves, and they said hi, and this and that, but no one really intermingled and whatnot, you know what I mean? And then I moved in, and eventually I turned this whole place around and I made it a party block. We partied down here, you know?
Right here.
Right here, man, and we got raided by the police because they always thought we were selling stuff, but we were just using stuff. You know, we were getting stoned to the bone, like for real, dog. You know, and they'd come and try to like assault raids and run through the house, and they could never find nothing, you know? And they were like, where did the guys keep their dope at? We're like, we smoked it. I was walking down the street one day over there, and I seen B Real and Grego were walking up the street coming over here. And I was like, oh man, if these guys say anything to me, I'm just gonna go over there and beat them down both, you know? B Real yelled at me, he goes, hey, Sen Dog, and I go, what? He goes, you wanna smoke this joint? I'm like, okay. So I went over there, and then we were just friendly from that point on, like.
All right, hey, B, tell us about your mom.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so my mother, she's originally from Cuba, from Havana. My father was from Mexico. And I met Sen through his brother, Mello. Sen Dog was like 18, 19. I'm like 15, 16. This was before any of us were rapping, you know? Because back then we were listening to groups like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, The Doors, and all that stuff. The first time I heard hip hop was on KDAY.
50,000 watt. AM stereo, KDAY, Santa Monica, Los Angeles.
K-Day, you know, it was an AM station that we all used to listen to. That's how we got it, through the mix show, the KDAY Mix Masters with Julio G, who played a big part in putting Cypress Hill together.
What I remember back then, that was the only place you could ever hear hip-hop. You couldn't see it yet.
That's true, that's true. Yeah, AM radio at that time had like those little breakout stations. The music wasn't so big yet, but a lot of people just wanted hip-hop. You'd have to find it, but it was there, you know, and people would listen to it. So I'm gonna go back and give you a story about Cypress Hill. So I met Muggs probably like right out of high school or about to graduate high school. I said, hey, Muggs, you should come to the block because you smoke a little weed, they smoke weed, they cool dudes, man, you should just come kick it. And Muggs had just bought some turntables and a mixer. And I'm like, oh, man, like your Technique 1200s you got? Yeah, because, you know, nobody really had that. It was hard to get that back then. You know, if you had those, it was a big deal. It was expensive. I go to his house. I said, damn, this dude is serious because all he got is some records, his dresser, turntables, and his bed right here and like a poster. And that was it. And then Muggs started to come kick it because he was about hip hop.
I was born in Queens, New York. I came from a place where it was ethnically diverse. You know, Greek, Jewish, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Black, Italian. Then when I moved to Los Angeles, where I moved, it was pretty much 99% Mexican. It was a culture shock, man. It was just bars, funeral home, liquor store, church, on repeat. You know what I mean? So I started tagging on the walls, breakdancing. And then I seen Jam Master Jay. And I was like, I want to do that. Early 87, I met 783.
My name is Larry Muggerud, M-U-G-G-E-R-U-D.
Also known as the Mighty Italiano Grand Mixer Muggs. You know it.
They had a record called 783 Will Rock You, and they was down with the Syndicate with Ice-T.
783 had DJ Muggs as the DJ. Some Italian kid from he lived outside of LA, like another area. Never talked, but he was dope. He had this vibe about him.
And then you guys started doing backyard parties, or how did
We just pull up in the backyard parties and just get on the mics. Sometimes they wouldn't let us on the mic, sometimes they would.
Sometimes we'd bring our own mic.
And just wreck
it. Fucking plug it in, go, take it with us. So if anybody tried to get on after us, you wasn't getting, you better have brought your own shit.
Prior to you guys' hip-hop careers taking off, what were you guys up to?
Basically, I was, involved with a lot of negative stuff, gangster lifestyle and stuff like that.
Do you miss it?
Gangbanging? Nah. I mean, when I was a kid and didn't know better, it was fun. But now that I know better and what I was doing, I just realized it was a learning experience. I wouldn't change it because then I wouldn't be who I am,
In the late 80s, LA was a war zone. It was basically impossible to live in the hood and not be gang affiliated.
Growing up here in Southgate, even if you didn't pick a side, you might catch a beat down.
Another world, man. This shit was dangerous every night. Gang banging, gunshots, scraps.
And see, the problem with LA is everybody got a gun, and it can escalate real quick.
We were rapping for fun as a hobby in the beginning. And then I sort of strayed away from it all while the other guys kept moving forward with it. I know they were worried about me because they knew who I was running with. I was running with some real motherfuckers, and at any moment, I, could have been locked up or popped, you know what I mean? And I did get popped, I got shot. It was, typical hangout night with the homies, but we went to another hood. Car pulls up, 4 dudes in it, blue hats, we're all wearing red. The gang signs and the fuck yous and the this and that starts happening, and then we see the rifle coming out. They shot at me 4 times, and I could hear 3 of them right in back of me like they're chasing me, and I guess on the last one, maybe he led me a little bit. It hit into my back. The bullet, which was a .22 hollow point, had come in, bursted into 3 pieces. 1 piece put a hole in my lung. When you're living that life, that's what you expect. You accept that, you embrace it. It was a natural thing for me until it wasn't. And the music changed my mind about what I was gonna be doing. Sendog and DJ Muggs, they came and asked me, hey, why don't you come and write some songs? I thought that would be cool. I didn't know if it would work out or not, but maybe there's another direction I could go as opposed to jail or the grave. it was everything because I started having fun writing these songs again and thinking like I can do it. I could actually write a song. Fuck writing a rap, I can write a song.
You're doing some stuff of your own right now, too.
Yeah, me and my boy Sen Stiff and Muggsy.
What's up? I'm Sen Stiff. I don't carry no gas because I'm known to drop niggas like flies.
Muggs took that chance and was like, I believe in you two. You know what I mean? Like, I think I could do something with you guys, but it's gonna take a couple years and you guys gotta quit your jobs and move to my apartment. So that's what we did.
Hey, Fernando, what was that shit I did at Kodak? What do they call it?
It was a stacker.
A stacker. And I worked in a conveyor line with, you know, side pallets here and pallets upstairs as they went into the trucks, and that's what I did. And I was good at it, too.
Tell them how you stole my job.
Because you were lazy, is that why?
That had something to do with it.
We was making our demos, but they was like on the cassette, just rapping on somebody else's beats. Whatever 12-inch that was, I'd flip them, and they rap on him. Sen had swag. He could rap better than B at the time, but his writing was basic. B-Real could write different than everybody. Like B-Real could always write, you know, from the first day, he was a good writer.
For 2-3 years, that's all we did every day, all day, every day. You know, with Muggs at the helm, giving us instructions on how he wanted us to sound or our flows and whatnot. It wasn't just like all of a sudden we just became this band. Like, it's like we had to go hungry, we had to go broke. And I think in that apartment is where we sharpened our tools, formulating what would be a Cypress Hill Jam. So he kind of like masterminded the whole thing and made it to where we could present it as, you know, as a group.
Check this one out, son. This is a fucking demo we did that went on our first demo tape. Check this one out.
I had that little beat up BMW. We used to that little primer one.
The funky I uplift, meaning I energize, sucker nerds, I tranquilize. Be real, thinks it's death, but I say it's nice. Be real with the appeal, it's a dopey shit I deal. And after I destroy it, I annoy it, then I kill. If you are tall, I will be bigger. Have a gun, don't pull the trigger. If you're pulling knife to take my life, I'll serve you to the lip. Nothing simple, this is strange. How it's lyrically arranged at your disposal. My proposal, as explained from the brain. So get it right, don't get it wrong. How much further or how long will your basic understanding?
Wow. And your voice back then was so wow.
Yeah, no,
it was before any of the, you know, the nasal thing you developed and all that thing. And
I had the flow, just the voice wasn't cut. But I couldn't sound like that now if I tried.
I was happy I found your vocals.
You got any more old school?
Oh, you know I do, baby. I was just waiting for the word. This is the original Real Estate. But the other version's got more energy, like it's way more hype, but this one's funky.
Hard.
That's why I said that's the first song we did. That sounds like a record. That's the demo. It sounds like it sounds like a hit, right? Hard.
Check out the story to the glory of the real estate.
Look.
That was the first song I flipped my voice on. All the demos previous to that one, I was using that voice you heard before. And that's when Sen Dog comes up with the beta voice that complements that high-pitched style. That's when we started developing a different sound to go along with the type of music that Muggs was giving us. Yeah, that was the entry into who we were eventually gonna, you know, evolve into right there. That was the first one. That was the key.
It's like, what, 3 years of work, like it's working, you know what I mean? My beats was whack for the first year. Everything was, I thought it was dope. When I was like, shit, we was just learning. We was just figuring it all out together. But then one day, you know what I mean? All that work, you just lock in like, woo-wee.
The studio back then, I remember it being like unorthodox, kind of the way we did things. Muggs ran everything through a SP12, and then he had a ghetto blaster in the room, and we got all the sound out from there.
We kept recording, and we had the song we did one day called Trigger Happy. B-Real said one line in the song and said, "Here is something you can't understand, how I could just kill a man one time." And I was like, yo, stop. That's the fucking hook.
Here is something you can't understand.
Bro, I couldn't stop playing that shit all fucking day. Then we did Light Another, we did Psycho Beta Buck Down, Kill a Man, Funky Feeling. That was our demo. Once we did Real Estate, everything started getting dope. So I go to New York. Then I walk into Def Jam when it was on Prince Street. Mr. Bill Stephanie, I believe he was the executive producer of the first Public Enemy albums.
It was all a dream, a rapper once said. I did see that they were looking for direction, and I wanted to really give them some refinement on how we think about, artists who are successful.
So he's like, fellas, what's your concept? I'm thinking in my head, what the fuck's a concept? Never even heard that word. I didn't have that shit in spelling class. So he breaks it down. He was like, listen, man, Slick Rick's the storyteller of rap.
Public Enemy represent Malcolm X.
Run DMC's are the gangster of rap.
LL Cool J, the love guys who got all the ladies at the club.
So you gotta remember, Cypress comes from our generation where you had to be different. You could not be anything like Ice-T and Ice Cube, we both got ice names, but we're different. When you went to see the Fat Boys, you saw some fat boys.
Okay, cool. So I took all that information. The minute I got back to Cypress, I was like, damn, we need a logo, fellas. We need a concept. We gotta build this shit cracking. They looking at me like, this fucking dude's crazy. I'm like, I got this shit. One day I was like, you know what our concept is? Y'all gotta be the Cheech and Chong of this motherfucker.
Hijo de la chingada. Is that a joint, man?
No, we're Cheech and Chong, and we discovered Be Real.
Yeah.
Breaking into our house. We managed to convince him to start rapping and form a group called Cypress Hill. He took our advice.
That's the first wise thing he ever did.
This was the first time that we met Chong. Somehow, some way, we met him at the Chateau Marmont.
We were very much influenced by Cheech and Chong because, we were stoners, but, we also wanted information about cannabis. The thing is that it was very taboo to talk about it at the time.
1 year, marijuana to heroin, what everybody will tell you, it doesn't lead to other drugs, right? When kids ask me, what are the worst drugs on the street? And you know what answers they want to hear, right? That's crack, it's PCP, turn your brain to applesauce. I say marijuana.
No one else was really engaging like we were in hip-hop, and some labels didn't understand it. I mean, we had motherfuckers asking us, like, what are you guys talking about? You guys are talking about weed? We're like, yeah. We were all trying to unlock this and, get it legal. And so we felt the more of us in hip-hop that talked about it, the better.
That was a no-no. Nobody smoked weed. Other groups were saying, I don't fuck with the herb.
I still express I don't smoke weed or sex. Cause it's known to give a brother brain damage. And brain damage on the mic don't manage nothing but making a sucker in you equal. Don't be another sequel.
We're not really bugging on that. We believe that, cannabis hemp is more, good for more than just smoking. We can live by it. And if nobody tells you that, you'll never know.
Do you feel like Cypress Hill picked up where you guys left off, kind of, or?
Sure, in a lot of ways, yeah, with music. I mean, we influenced a whole generation of young musicians coming up, and they had that mentality and that outlook on life, and no extra charge, Cypress Hill.
And I was living in Hollywood, and we just kept doing our demos. One day I played it for Joe the Butcher, and he was like, yo, you got some shit here. We want to sign you.
My name is Joe the Butcher Nicolo. First and foremost, I feel like I'm a record mixer, producer, but I also co-owned Rough House Records. We were forging a whole new, different frontier. We were making records that the guys in the lab coats was like, it's got total harmonic distortion. It's distorted. What? Yeah, it's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. It's distorted. So?
Okay. Are we rolling? Yeah. All right, awesome. My name is Chris Schwartz, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Rough House Records, a company that I started with Joe Nicolo back in the 80s, like the mid-80s. And Philly, for all intents and purposes, is the birthplace of gangster rap. We signed The Outsiders, which featured Eminem before he was with Dre. We signed DMX. We signed Nas, Kool Keith, Criss Cross, The Goats, The Fugees, Wyclef, Beanie Siegel, Cool C, Steady B, Property, The Mountain Figures, of course, Schoolie D. We did like 75 artists. I can't always remember all the names.
So then I got the Cypress Hill Muggs demos. It sounded like they set up a boombox and put rap on it. They were gritty, but they had punch.
I have never, in this business, as long as I've been in it, heard a demo where every song is not only as good as the last, but it just kept getting better.
When you come from where we come from and you get a good opportunity, you don't fuck it up.
And I remember that first Cypress Hill album was menacing. You could hear it now, it's just the edge, the sonics, the perspective.
Yeah, Muggs, when I think about that time, the sound was so rich and the nuance of it was so slick. They were like beautiful train wrecks.
Honestly, the first time I heard it, I didn't really know what to think of it. I was like, damn, this is Sin and B-Real? B-Real had changed his rap style. Sin Dog, the way they implemented Sin Dog into it, it was very unique, and it was nothing, especially from LA, there was nothing like that.
They don't sound like anybody, like New York hardcore. But the way they were saying it, man, was like with an LA swag, okay? There's just these infectious hooks and grooves that I could just listen to all day long. But it just was not doing much of anything. It was like 6 months in, and we had sold maybe 60,000 records. And it's just like, what is wrong with people? Why aren't they getting this?
And this was during a time period where the East Coast is, very, the New York was the epicenter of hip hop. So anything that didn't have a New York sound was kind of written off, Cypress Hill came and just kind of kicked that door in.
Look right here, Chuck.
First time I heard Cypress Hill was actually hearing their music for the movie Juice.
In the movie Juice, Killer Man played for like 98 seconds, which is a long time to play in a movie.
Right? And you can sit there in the movie theater and watch people. When that song came on, it's like, they start moving in their seats. It was crazy. We sat at 32,000 records for months and months and months. Next thing you know, we're selling 50,000 copies a week.
motherfuckers, and this guy had this squeaky voice. His vocal delivery was like Ad Rock of Beasties, but different.
Yeah, you know I had to get ya.
Time for some action.
Summer of '91, that shit took all New York City over, you know what I mean? And then it took the country over, then it took over the world. My record went from not in the top 200 all the way to number 3.
Cypress Hill!
First of all, I'd like to say thanks to my mother. I want to thank all the college radio stations for plugging us up. Last thing I got to say here, legalize it. Peace out.
When we first put out the album, we didn't really think to be advocates or activists, but once it started to hit and they started hearing about us and how we were championing cannabis, a lot of the publications and the advocacy groups started to come at us like, hey, we want to partner up with you guys.
First of all, I liked the music, and second of all, they seemed to be all about weed, and it was just a perfect fit for High Times. Well, and not to mention taking a lot of chances, smoking out in public, on stage, every night, in places where it was not accepted by the law at all, and generally getting away with it. Every place is not New York and LA. You know, they're playing Alabama and Kansas, you know, and they're pushing the envelope.
As I take hits from the ball.
When they asked us to do the High Times cover, I mean, that was like one of our first milestones, because, I mean, we grew up off High Times magazine. It was important to us. Aside from reggae music, no one was holding up weed like that. And it was an important bridge for hip-hop.
It's such a long span of time that they've been on that mission.
This blood's for these motherfuckers!
They transcended hip-hop. You know, they went beyond hip-hop. Look at B-Real's look, you know, which also was so important to me. As a kid, we cared about how rappers looked. Their look was monumental. When you think back to Cypress Hill look, and it's funny because it was a mixture of California and New York.
Well, this is the world's famous Greenspans in Southgate, California. This is where we crafted all our first looks as Cypress Hill.
Because back in those days, we used to go look through the shelves and the rafts and all that stuff and just find those pieces that were hard to find. And that was the best part about it, was like the actual searching and looking for stuff.
That's fresh, Doc.
I'll take this one. That one's tight.
You know, you want to be fly gangster, that's bowling shirt gangster right there.
So this is how we do in Cuba to see if the pants fit you. Know. They fit.
Serio?
Yeah. If they go all the way around your neck, they'll go around your waist comfortably. Here he is. What's up, Evan? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you all.
Yeah. So I actually met Evan here back in 1978. I was a little dude. I think I was just came to buy shoes or something. And every time I would come in the store, you've always been a regular part of the stores. You know? Everything I'm telling you is true. There goes the original 8x10 photos that House of Pain and Cypress Hill did back in the 90s or 1990 or something.
Yeah, this place was key to all of our first looks and our first videos. This is where Sendog crafted his, you know, Perro Loco look, Pendletons and, you know, the creased up shit. If you wanted that West Coast LA gangster look, you can always find something you would fuck with. Like when I walked in, I saw a hat that I'm gonna leave with.
This was all pre-internet. There was no Instagram, no SoundCloud, no MySpace, none of that shit. Bands could only rely on touring, getting their video played on MTV or the radio.
But radio, it just wasn't playing that level of hip-hop yet. It was getting there. It was more the MC Brains, the MC Hammers, the Vanilla Ices.
Hero, rap, hero.
Those were the 1990, 91 records that were really on the radio because they were more like commercial.
My beat is ever booming.
Killer Man, off the gate, it's very difficult because even back then, they would have had to edit that out. They didn't want to use words like you're killing somebody. Today, you just hear the radio and they just say drugs and guns and it's just regular. Well, back then, it was a no-no.
How do you feel about that? Do you care about airplay?
We don't really care about it because for some reason people will tend to shy away from us and not give us that airplay to where the other groups we have, like they're easier to play them groups because they don't take that stand like we do. But we do take the stand, and some cost of it is that they're not gonna want to play us in some stations, but like it's no big deal to us, you know. Still sell records.
If you didn't feel like you were getting enough MTV support or radio support, you had to get out there and win people over. And our way of winning people over was for us to play. So we went out and toured with anyone who would tour with us.
We understood one thing, though, at the beginning was the only way to get exposure to the fans is be like a motherfucking punk rock band and get on the road and get in front of the people. So to be able to lock in into a Lollapalooza and then to be on stage with whoever, we didn't care. We was like, let's go.
My favorite time still remains those years that we toured with Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, and in the middle of those guys, they stuck us in there. Remember, we watched Kurt Cobain and all those guys perform every night, you know, sometimes backstage and with Courtney and, you know, Dave Grohl. And we were, you know, somehow we figured out, you know, how to get ourselves in the position with, you know, the biggest bands at that time.
It wasn't just work. For us, we're very competitive. We wanted to go out and blow other fucking groups out and make them, you know, have to deal with coming on after us.
We went from playing in front of 16 people to 300, 400, 500, 600. So we was doing European festivals. We was the first group to headline Reading Festival, first rap group, 150,000. And I was like, damn. When you're playing in Europe and they doing the soccer chants and everybody's waving the flags, you know what I mean? You're like, fuck.
Wanna know what tours I've been on? These ones. These are the little handbooks that we would make to go on tour. It would have the venue, the promoter, the hotel, crew after show departure for Irvine, 418 miles. Band, sleep in San Francisco. And this was our life for fucking many, many years. I wasn't just a photographer or video guy. I was a tour manager. I set up the shows, I set up the press, I set up the travel, I took care of the bus drivers. Most of the time, I was always the first one awake and the last one to go to sleep. Lollapalooza '94, Dominguez Hills, with the Beastie Boys. Bobo's playing here.
Bobo played for both bands, right?
Bobo played for both bands, believe it or not.
The tour that I did with the Beastie Boys, the first one was 1992 Check Your Head tour, the last leg in the States. And the bill was, you know, Beastie Boys, Rollins Band, and then the last 2 weeks they were replaced with Cypress Hill. I remember going and being in the lobby, and then here comes Sendog, and me and him kind of like lock eyes.
I'm in the elevator, but this time I'm frying on acid, right? And I kind of can't talk because I'm all over the place, right? So Bobo walks in the same elevator and I recognize him. But I more than recognize him, I recognize him from his dad.
My pops was Latin jazz icon, Willie Bobo. legendary percussionist. He played with people like Tito Puente and Miles Davis, and 14 albums under his own credit. Known as one of the best percussionists ever. First time on stage, I was 5 years old. That was at a jazz club in North Hollywood called Dante's. I didn't even have a rehearsal, you know, but he knew that the music was in me because I'd be beating on pots and pans and beating on stuff all around the house. So to be from a club size to maybe like 20 people to like Playboy Jazz Festival that's like all cheering and everything like that, it's like, it's a rush.
How about these guys? You played with any of them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course. And Tito Puente, Maestro, he kind of took me under his wing after Pops passed.
Willie Bobo!
He's a heavyweight, man. Big time, big time. All the artists that, you know, eventually were sampled a lot in hip hop, I knew all of it. So eventually, when it was about time to like make that crossover musically, I already knew it.
After that Beastie Boys tour, so I started like nudging them to, you know, come play with Cypress, come do a song with us. And at that point, we had a single called Latin Lingo, and Bobo loved that song because of the Latin percussion work on it and all that. So he was like, I'll play on that song with you. So we started bringing him out.
The Latino's always been around since the inception of hip hop. Always, right? And never really had too many prominent voices. Cypress Hill comes out. Not only were they Latin, they're representing the Latin culture on the West Coast. When they added Eric Bobo into the mix, that was a whole nother dimension.
The fact that you have a black man who is, guess what? Latin. What? That's what made Cypress Hill so dope, is because they sort of represented the diversity of what California represented. You know, the fact that they were good at it is a bonus.
What was cool is that the schedules didn't conflict. So it's like when I was done with the Beastie Boy tour and it was okay, we're done. Cypress tour, world tour was starting up.
Eric Bobo taking hits from the bongos.
Everything was cool until Woodstock, '94. I'm on tour with the Beastie Boys. Cypress called me up and said, yo, we're gonna do Woodstock. We're gonna play on Sunday. I said, great, that's my day off. Somehow that shit got switched to Saturday. So I proceeded to write a note to Mike D. I left to go to Woodstock to play at Cypress, but I'll be back before the show. I slip it under his door. I'm out.
Check this out.
I remember us flying in and seeing traffic for miles. Like, people forever. We couldn't even fucking see the end of them.
It's the same lineup, basically. Well,
that's the Woodstock joint, right?
But when Cypress came out, it was like a fucking explosion. It was like the people just went buck wild.
I was like, yo, all right, we hit another level now. I just had to sit back and look at this shit. Like, is this shit really fucking happening? Because I know I'll never see a crowd that big again the rest of my life.
We ain't going out. No, we ain't going out. You know we ain't going out. We ain't going out. We ain't going out. We're coming out the slums. It's the hoodlums. I'm pulling my gun out on all the bums. Bring it on when you wanna come back. I'm moving like Billy Ray Cyrus here.
This is the day that B and Sin, they kind of announced me as like, you know, new addition to Cypress Hill. Like officially, like.
I want to say what's up to the Beastie Boys. They're on Lollapalooza right now. Oh, yes. And we kind of have the same thing in common. It's this motherfucker right here.
That's the new addition to Cypress Hill, Eric Bobo. On the motherfucking percussions at this time.
Yeah, you know, we stole Derek Bobo from the Beasties. You know, we decided we're gonna snatch him up, and we knew we would win that fight all day. We had the better weed.
Any chance the band got, they pressed the issue. People gave them shit for it, but they always smoked weed on stage. Every show was a smoke out. What happened on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cypress Hill.
I'm sitting in the dressing room early during rehearsal, rolling the joint, and Sony Music comes in and say, "You can't light no weed on stage now." I'm like, "No problem." They came in like 10 times to tell me the same shit. So I was like, you know what?
Once again, Cypress Hill.
New York City. They said I couldn't light my joint, you know what I'm saying? But we ain't going out like that. We Cypress Hill.
And I lit that motherfucker. They said the phones went on right away. Everybody started calling on there, calling. I wouldn't have lit it, but the fact they kept pushing me and kept pushing me and kept pushing me, and I'm like, man, fuck this. We punk rock. I'm about to light this motherfucker right now. Sen and B were mad at me. They was like, why the fuck did you do this? We're banned. We can't go on the show no more. You know I didn't give a fuck. We're banned, and didn't hurt us at all.
We ain't going out like that. Cypress Hill, legalize it, dog.
Right here, real quick. One second. Hold on, B. B, don't blink.
I got my eyes closed, Poppy. You can't tell. I've had them closed this whole time.
Yeah, right there. Perfect. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I could always say about the unit here is that we could always get down on stage from the very first beginnings to like what we turned into. We were always like, I almost felt like we were like naturals on the stage at one point because no rehearsal, get off a flight, go to the stage and kill it. Go. You know what I mean?
Snap
That's the
in,
shit.
just snap right into it.
Snap right into it.
You know, we were always, you know, pushing things like to try to do what others wouldn't expect us to do or what they weren't doing, right? And one of those things was, I think, one of the smokeouts. We planned it to where on the Get High portion of the show that we were gonna have two of the homeboys dressed in cop suits come and pull me off like I had violated something.
What the fuck's going on here, Alex? I can't hear that shit, what?
And y'all stirred the crowd up like crazy. And then I came out looking like
a pig.
And then the fucking, yes, looking like the pig.
Fuck you, pig! What the fuck's going on here?
It was kind of theatrics. And that shit was effective because everybody was talking about that after, right? So it's not just a show, it's an experience. And we always put those extra efforts that, you know, the folks that came to see us didn't expect.
Like at that time, hip hop artists hadn't figured out how to have a stage presence. But Cypress, we did it like a fucking punk rock show. Combined with a cannabis convention, mixed with Pink Floyd, not to mention the giant inflatable Buddha.
Right before fucking I Want to Get High, they used to black out the crowd and smoke up the stage, and then I used to have to creep in and fill up this big-ass Buddha with air, and the Buddha would just arrive in the smoke, and then I Want to Get High beat would drop. And then I used to shake the Buddha so it looked like it was dancing to the beat.
Bring forth Excalibur.
Yeah, no.
You remember hitting Excalibur for the first time?
Yes, I do.
Because you and I were trading, because I was doing it first, right? And then you wanted to try it one day. And I was like, yeah, come on, Bobo. And fucking Bobo did it. And he became Big Lung Bobo.
Big Lung, baby.
Fucking hit it, hold it in even. How you did that, I don't know. And then fucking blow all that shit out slowly. It was like art.
We're gonna bronze your lungs and put them in the cannabis museum.
We're taking your lungs.
Watch him have perfect lungs. When he's done, they're still pink and looking all pretty.
Notice the resin build up.
Sing my song, puff all night long, as I take hits from the bomb. Hits from the bomb. Hits from the bomb. Hits from the bomb. Hits from the bomb.
And if you even notice, this beat doesn't really lock. I mean, it's like, okay? And so at the time, people would be like, the beat's fucked up, man. You can't use that. The beat's fucked up. But it's just like, well, no, it's not, because when you put it in with this kind of just, you know, it sits lazy. You lock them together. You got that loopy kind of, and that's where when you go like, if you weren't like, you'd be like, it's fucked up. No, man, that shit ain't fucked up. That shit's perfect, man. That's fuel. And then making those records stoned, and that's, I know it's a shock to everyone that we made those records stoned. I mean, those sessions, man, we would blaze really hard, but it did make a difference in the production of the way the records were made. So it's like, you're like, okay, and you're listening, and it's just like, up, got to start fading, and it's like, no, don't fade it yet. We gotta let it go, man. Let it go. This is feeling good. Not okay. Now we can start slow, faded, slow. That's the kind of shit that happens when you're stoned. Production choices were definitely enhanced by, you know, being in an altered state.
This right here has every laminate from every tour. These are what we'd give you if you were like a friend, a family member, or even a hot chick if we didn't know you. Just give you one of these, put it right there, and let's roll.
We're in Melbourne, home of Crocodilo Dundee. I'm right here chilling, got the bong.
I remember we got to Australia, and Public Enemy, they were playing. This was the time that you and Flavor, y'all were just going like back and forth, freestyling, and like the two best hype men ever.
It's cracking, big dog. Dog. What's tonight's forecast? 420, heavy smoke, much wreckage on the stage.
We always did sprinkle a little bit of Latin flavor, and when we go to Latin-speaking countries, they'd want us to play those songs specifically. That's what made us decide to put a Spanish album out there, and we didn't expect the impact the album would have. It sort of opened the door for other Spanish-speaking hip-hop albums.
Japan, scammers got the camera. This is how we do it.
We got one more song to do.
If Be Real knew that we were gonna be somewhere and he knew that there wasn't gonna be no weed, he would have the shit FedExed out there ahead of time.
Could this be what they call weed? I am the international smuggler extraordinaire.
This is beautiful. We in Africa, baby.
That motherfucker slowly coming over.
How's that for Soul Assassin worldwide?
Fucking wild right now! Put the fist in the air like this!
I remember our first time in Europe, but there was a lot of buildup because, you know, on our first album, we hadn't gone there.
Live. Let's just talk about live stage show. Not many people could fuck with Be Real and Sen Dog on stage, you know what I mean? Like, their camaraderie, Be Real showmanship. They got respect from the East Coast, from the South, from the North, overseas. They got respect across the map.
We're in Germany right now. We're in Berlin, Germany, that is, home of Adolfo Hitler. We're here, you know, being tourists, you know?
I remember we had just done a show in Amsterdam, so we were stocked up on weed and hash and all this other shit, right?
See, and then you can buy this kind of stuff here, you know, in the coffee shop. That's just how you can do it. Look at that. Beautiful.
And we had stashed it up, and they search all our bags, but they don't find anything. And they come to Bobo, they look at Bobo's passport, the hash ball stuck on the face of his picture. That shit was everything. And homeboy's like, what is this?
I forgot about that one.
I got there, bro.
You be a fucking cigar roller.
He's a motherfucking pro at that, man.
So what's your name? Dr. Green Thumb.
Hello, Dr. Green Thumb. Paging Dr. Green Thumb.
Dr. Green Thumb is a character I created from a song. We were working on Cypress Hill 4, and, you know, I heard this beat, and it was infectious. I realized I had something there, you know, in terms of a song that our fans were gonna love.
Dr. Green Thumb, come on back one time!
People can't live without the urban. If not, they be drinking and dropping and swerving. But thanks to Dr. Green Thumb, we grow in the backyard or inside with hydro.
And more than anything, what gave life to it was the video. People knew we were talking about weed, but we couldn't show it if we were gonna get MTV or BET play or any kind of play, so
we got Little Shop of Horrors, the original guy that made the puppet, and he came and did the puppet work.
that song started catching. It became a cult classic. And what it did for me was allow me to create my alter ego.
Hello, my name is Dr. Green Thumb. Hello, my name is Dr. Green Thumb.
That song, it's a part of who I am. It's a part of my history, part of my legacy. I started throwing events under Dr. Green Thumb and Dr. Green Thumb Spring Gathering and all this other shit that led me to eventually making the Dr. Green Thumb brand in cannabis. And it gave me a different identity than Be Real the rapper.
Doctor.
Is it now?
What's in there?
What's in?
What's in there?
box.
I called it. Mushrooms.
Get the fuck out.
No, you didn't, yo.
We had many relationships with these mushrooms, just like these.
Well, I'm banned from those, so.
You remember what happened with Sendog? Had some shrooms, somebody threw a hat up on stage. And then Sendog looks at the hat and he stops the song. He says, stop. They said, stop. Who threw this hat up on stage? Who threw this? This is fucked up. Me, B, we were looking at each other like, what the fuck did the hat say? We go into the next song, which is Insane in the Brain. B does his verse and everything like that. We're shroomed out, and all of a sudden, Sendog gets to his verse, and he's doing the verse like this. Too much shit. Like this to the dude, right? After the show, Sendog's tripping. Sendog does not let go of his hat. And then we see him. We see him around his trash can, and he's like talking to the hat. Fucking like this. And then finally he throws the hat in the trash can, and then he walks off. We all fucking think, all right, there's our chance. Let's see what the fuck in this hat says. And we expect them to say, oh, fuck Sendog, fuck Cypress, whatever. The hat said, Banana Boat Tanning Company. That was it. This fool thinks that this guy was talking about the Cuban refugees that were coming on the boats and they called them Banana Boat. It's a damn tanning company, but he flipped.
Those days we used to tour like hell. We had to be out on the road. And I remember one day we had just got home, we were in LAX, and we're picking up our bags. We just got home from tour, and I hear B Real say, man, I can't wait to get back out there. And I looked at him like, fuck, why don't I feel like that?
It was when Sendog wanted to have a good time.
Get it on video? Video, keep up with the Owen? The high leg kick.
The promoter came over and said, hey man, how's it going? I go, it's going great. Fucking, we're having the time of our life. It only took us like 27 hours to get here, but we love it. He goes, everything's cool? And I go, yeah. He goes, you sure? And I go, yeah, everything's great, man. Love it. He goes, the reason I'm asking is because one of the guys destroyed one of the dressing rooms. And I go, no way. Let me see. And I went over there and I was like, whoa. Okay, and I go, so now what? He goes, so now what, this? And he hands me a bill and it was $4,000.
I think all I really needed was a rest. But we didn't do that, man. We were, tour, put an album out, we toured. Another album, and we toured. Another album, we toured. It was that cycle. I got kind of sick of it. So I would do things like leave when I wanted to, come a day late, leave a day early.
I remember one time we were all at the airport and he said, I'll be right back. And this fool had called up somebody to pick him up, and we're waiting for him to come back from the bathroom, and he leaves. He goes back home. And we're going to Europe.
One time we was going to Japan and Sen was on the plane right in front of me. And then we started taking off and Sen wasn't on the plane.
Sometimes he'd stay on the full tour, sometimes he wouldn't.
I was a tour manager, so I go in to get Sendog, call in the room, he don't answer. I tell the people, hey, I need a key to the room, because maybe this guy overslept. It's like fucking empty. No clothes, no bags, no Sendog. What was the points where you would leave? Was it something we said or something we did, or is there something that pissed you off, or just was in you, or?
No, man. It was nothing that any of the brothers did on the tour bus or anything like that. I would honestly say it was all really me. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to be out there anymore. You know what I mean? I wanted to go out, and if we were out for 6 weeks and somewhere around the third week I decided I'm done, I'm leaving. and there's nothing anybody could do to hold me back.
As you can see, Sendog is not with our crew no longer. And we want y'all, as well as us, we're gonna give him a peace and much props and good luck in his new career. No matter what, he will always be a part of Cypress Hill. Because that's what homeboys are about. If your homeboy or homegirl needs a change in their lives, it's up to you as friends to accept the change and help them move on and be understanding.
That's right.
Y'all know what I'm saying?
Took a little bit of wind out of the sails because it felt like we were invincible. We could not be stopped, you know? We're a force together. And here's the fucking Psycho Beta, the big bad fucking Sendog. He's gone.
Peace to Sendog, who is also not here.
I didn't have Sen, but I had Bobo, and we just put 110% effort into each show.
Some people tell me that I need help. Some people can fuck off and go to hell. Goddamn, why they criticize me? Now shit is on the rise, so my family despises
The
me.
pressure was fucking on, but I never thought that we were gonna quit because B wasn't gonna quit, and I was gonna be there.
Money and I'm hooked on chronic.
We got behind the turntables, then we would get someone to kind of like do backups with B and everything. If I had to do Sen's whole verse, I would do it.
You're 6 feet underground. I'm having illusions, all this confusion's driving me mad inside. I'm having illusions, all this confusion's fucking me up in my mind. I'm having illusions, all this confusion's driving me mad inside. I'm having illusions, all this confusion's fucking me up in my mind.
For a few years, it was pretty much me, Bobo, and B-Real that kept the group together because Muggs was home doing remixes and Sen was home kicking it. He didn't want to tour no more, so we had to do what we had to do.
Cause they let a nigga back on the street somehow.
We were a little upset and disappointed because, you know, we wanted our brother to be there with us, but we understood because we were all learning how to deal with what this was becoming for us as artists, as young men. The fame, the responsibility of having to show up on these tours and go away from your family for 6 to 8 weeks, dealing with some shit that there is no school for.
I'm having illusions. I'm having illusions.
Peace up to the rest of the Cypress Hill crew.
No, I definitely felt conflicted, man. Like, I would feel bad because I left the team in the middle of a game, in the middle of a season. You know what I mean? Of course, that played on my guilt side, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I felt like I couldn't breathe while I was out there. You know what I mean? And I just had to go somewhere where I could be like, I actually went to a psychiatrist lady that likes put my head on straight. The way she spoke to me was profound, and it kind of like straightened me back up and put me back where I needed to be. And I recommend that to any artist that if you feel, you know, that you can't sleep or you can't eat or you're stressed out and, you know, you're worried or whatever, talk to somebody or not, just take a break. You know, take a break, man. Learn to miss it, learn to love it again. The bike club is called the Cypress Hillbillies.
Down for my barrio and to make bed, yeah, the Hill Cartel taking over your area.
Pretty much everybody in the club has an extension to the block from Southgate. Back when we started, like, you know, 11, 12 years ago, I was big into like NASCAR and professional bull riding. You know, so the guys would come over to the house or call me, and they'd be like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" I go, "Man, I'm getting to watch this race at Talladega, and Dale Earnhardt's racing, and so-and-so." And they're like, "Man, you're such a hillbilly." And that's where it all started from there. People were like, "Hillbillies? What kind of name is that?" But, you know, frankly, I don't give a damn what people think, so. I started to grow more as an artist when I kind of like stepped out of this Cypress Hill thing and started a punk rap band called SX10. I've always liked metal and rock, but when I tried it, then I fell in love with it. I would be the only one writing the songs there. You know what I mean? So when I got there, I had to really apply myself and learn how to, you know, write complete songs with verses and hooks and, you know, and everything in them, you know what I mean? And them guys helped me do that. The whole freedom of it all, I think, is what I dig the most. It helped me find me as an artist. I felt like alive again. I remember maybe like a couple years later, I saw Cypress Hill. It was a festival in Canada that they were showing live on MTV. And as I'm watching the show, I was like, let me see these guys and see what they're up to and, you know, how they're doing these days, whatever, right? I could almost smell the festival through the TV. You know, the grass, the people, you know, the air and all that. The B-roll smokes the joint. I could almost smell it. I think that was my first indication that I was like, I wanted it again.
Finally, rapper Sendog has reunited with Cypress Hill and will join them on their 4th album, due in August, and on this summer's Smoke and Grooves tour, launching in July with Wyclef, Gang Starr, and Public Enemy. Sendog left Cypress Hill back in 1995 after their 3rd album, Temple of Boom. He's been working with his own rock band, SX10, which will release its debut album on an independent label later this year.
How permanently had Sendog left the group? I mean, did it take much persuasion to get him back, or?
You know, I think what it was us reaching out to him, expressing to him that we wanted him to be a part of it, that he was always a member of this group no matter what he decided to do. I think that convinced him that, you know, he still had family here.
And one day he just came in and said, I'm ready to do this. So we started banging songs out the next day.
It's something we definitely wanted. We wanted, you know, him to get back, you know, into the swing of things, but, you know, he had to feel ready himself, you know, and get that confidence up, and he came back with a bang, you know, re-energized. Sen did finally return, and Muggs came, and it was us 4 on the road, and you were back to doing tour manager. It was like we were able to continue on.
Any great group has had issues with one another in spite of having a great run. That's sort of what makes it great, because you get through all the shit and still, you know, have this brotherhood and still have this chemistry.
If you didn't know, now you know. If you don't care, I don't give a fuck either. Because in the meantime, we will hit you like this.
When I was a young kid growing up, looking in the mirror, dreaming about blowing up the rock crowd, make money, chill with the honeys, sign autographs, and whatever the people want from me.
So we got to, like, I think it was our 5th album. And, you know, the climate was changing. We was doing rock shows. We wanted to kind of do a rock record for fun, but then we didn't want to step on what we had already created, you know, and then we was like, yo, let's just record 2 albums. Let's record a rock album and a rap album. And we'll put them as a double album, but we won't mix them together. So if you don't want to hear the rock, you have the choice. You don't want to hear the rap, you have the choice. So I walked into Columbia and I had Rap Superstar. And I think Can't Get the Best of Me was supposed to be the rock single. Donnie Ienner was like, no, this is the single, Rap Superstar, and that was it. I went back to LA and I started working on the remix for Rock Superstar. I had B-Real come in, he just had to say one word, rock. Left the beginning hip-hop, changed the rap to rock, and then built it, and just turned this to this orchestral fucking mega fucking Metallica, Led Zeppelin fucking piece, you know what I mean? That was just bigger than life.
Cypress Hill is the first band I've ever seen that was a hip-hop band. They were stage diving up into the audience. Oh, shit. Like, these motherfuckers are rock stars.
When that came out and they added in that element of doing the live stuff on stage, I think it just took them even further. They were on the edge of that musically anyways, because it wasn't traditionally rap, wasn't traditionally rock, but had elements from the samples that Muggs would use or just the energy of their live shows.
Hip-hop is a copycat genre. What works for one is gonna, there's gonna be like 1,000 to follow. The fact that Cypress Hill went deeper into it, like the Black Sabbath, influence and really like rock, as well as with the hip hop, made it like a no-brainer for the areas that they touched that few hip hoppers have ever gone before.
That's when we started, recruiting Send Dogs boys from SX10.
I'm trying to think of who else. Well, I know DMX played rock stages. Wu-Tang does too. I guess it's just gotta be a certain kind of hardcore. I guess that's the trick. Hardcore rap translates to rock better than softcore rap.
For a group to be on their 5th album and be brand new and hit and be on the top of the world, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's a sick one. Sponsored by Napster, Back to Basics tour. Streaming was brand new. Like, if you didn't want to hear the radio, you had to buy the album. But now, these guys called Napster were coming out with an idea of, we're gonna put all the music on the internet and we're gonna let everybody play it for free. And the music industry went crazy. But Cypress thought about it different. Like, they paid us a good amount of money to go on tour with Limp Bizkit. And they're like, we're gonna pay you this much money, we're gonna have you go on tour, and every show is free. But for the first time in history, music was being given away for free and concerts were being given away for free. And we are the ones that did it with Limp Bizkit. And people were pissed.
We wanted to remove everything that people know about the tours of hip hop and rock shows. So we removed, as you remember, we removed security, all security, and put up a fence. Watching Cypress Hill every night from the side, just going, holy shit, I can't fucking believe that that's those guys right in front of me on this stage, and the crowds, you remember, you were there. It was some of the greatest. I get chill bumps just talking about it. B was ruthless, man. Sin, too. They, I don't know what they are in their hearts, but if it's stage diving punk rockers, they have it in them, because they were crazier than anybody there, having a blast.
You guys used to buy pizzas for all the kids in the crowd?
Yeah.
Because I have photos of all the guys carrying like big
No
boxes of
shit.
pizza and giving them out to the
Oh,
fans
man,
to
I gotta
buy.
see that. Well, they were waiting and camping out for days to see Cypress Hill and Limp Bizkit, and so we felt like we had to feed these guys. What can we do? Pizzas are cheap. Let's do it.
Cypress Hill Pizza, the Marshall Pizza, on trip.
fucking outrageous, dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my God!
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. No other bands were doing that. And we went, it wasn't like we went with all the security. We didn't go out with no security. It was just us.
Sometimes it was just you and I, you know what I mean? And no one ever tripped on us or, you know, people had always treated us right. But we also showed that we're not scared of anybody either. So, you know, it was that, you know, mutual respect.
Any show we did, we walked out in the crowd to meet with fans, you know? And that was one of the keys to the longevity that we have, was being able to be on the road, giving them a good show every time, and then connecting with them after. Because it's like Chuck D told me one time when I met him for the first time, and I was like, yo, Chuck, what's good, man? I just want to tell you, man, we're all fans of you on our block, and hopefully one day we're doing what you do. And he was like, hey, man, good luck, and thanks for the love, and hopefully, you know, you keep doing this, and one day you will be doing this shit. You know, he gave me 5 minutes of his time, and I thought, man, if I ever get where he's at, I'm gonna be with my fans the way he was with me.
It's really that epitomizes what Cypress Hill has always been about. They're inseparable with their fan base. They're the greatest group to do it, you know? And when you're the greatest group to do that, then you're in the runnings for the greatest group ever, because you got a fan base that's gonna fight for that.
There are 2,600 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but there is none more important than the star that we are about to unveil for Cypress Hill.
Cypress Hill is the first hip-hop group to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's just fun and fantastic.
Everybody make some noise for the Hill, y'all.
To all of you fans out here, we could not have done this without you.
You know, when they said we wasn't gonna get a record deal, who's got the last laugh now, homeboy?
Cypress, it's like they're literally an anomaly. They're pivotal on the West Coast front, pivotal as Latinos in hip hop.
They created something so special and so unique in a really crowded genre.
That's what allowed Cypress Hill just to have a dominant reign over hip hop.
And they're still here to this day, and that's a beautiful thing.
I admired that with an envious smile.
Long before the days of legal dispensaries and medical marijuana, Cypress Hill were advocates of that sticky, icky, ooh-wee!
Cypress Hill has definitely contributed to legalizing marijuana in the U.S.
The sound of marijuana is Cypress Hill.
The Trailblazers. Yeah, you get it? Trailblazers?
Blazers, yeah.
This is gonna be an altar for all stoners, for all cannabis culture right here. Come light your candles, dump your blunts, dump your joints, dump your bongs right here. Pray for a great harvest, and thank you fucking very much.
I preserve moments in time, and sometimes that's all you got. Sometimes you don't know what you got until you look back. And you see what you've been doing for 30 years. All these good times and bad times and all these memories. And you realize, like, fuck, man, like, I really got some shit here.
This palm tree was nowhere near this.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even remember it.
This was a little ass tree when this guy
30
was
years
in.
later?
Yeah. We spent a lot of time on this block, you know, talking about what we wanted to do, you know, and having a belief in ourselves when no one else did, because we were just trying to make music that related to us. And if anybody else could relate, great. But we did not know the impact that it would have.
You know, I tell you that it's beyond a brotherhood. It's a familia, you know what I mean? And we made special things happen, and we got upset with each other, and you know, made up and came back and did the whole thing all over again.
You know, it's one of those eternal flames that we keep lit by all of us going and just being masters in our crafts. Better men, better friends, better at our arts, better at business.
I mean, look at us. 30 years later, it was all organic.
We rise and fall in the rap race to win it all. Standing tall as we ever did, and if you recall, that very moment you seek an opponent, you better own it like you're seeking atonement, or you blown it. Time after time, haters pray for our decline. They could never dim the light that shines in this paradigm. The vibe intertwined, the love and hate frame of mind. Living in the balances, I'm dancing with the devil's kind. Reminded by the thin line, we walking as we lead the blind. Step into the stairway to heaven, where we all resign. What you find is the vision of the grand design. We are eternal in this journal, you might find a sign. Live free, tell it how you see it, you can be it. See your dream and seize it, unlock your dream and release it. It ain't a secret, we believe it, never doubt it. Watch the words manifest in every way you heard us talk about it. It's a long road, see you at the crossroads. From the soldier to a leader, we in boss mode. It's a long road, see you at the crossroads. From the soldier to a leader, we in boss mode. We're 1 in a million, making you feel this feeling you're feeling. You hit the ceiling with one hit of the herbal healing. It's a killing how we run the set and move the masses. We advance, taking chances as the time passes. Never gamble with your life when the odds are against you. But if you've been through what I've been through, then you must continue. And now we pray before we play as we slay the venue. The cultivation of the fan base not on the menu. Stopping not an option, you get in the way, then take precaution. We're way too heavy and the momentum is jaw-dropping. Not very often do you see the likes of these in common. Herbal shaman here to spread the love and hit the browsing. If you have a long run, you ain't never done. Never been the one to run away